Joining us now for the views of Human Rights Watch is Deputy Asia Director Phil Robertson, joining us from Bangkok, Thailand. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. What is the reaction of Human Rights Watch to the ICC judge's decision to resume the investigation into drug war killings in the Philippines?
Well, this is a welcome step. This is, I think, the first step towards some sort of justice for the families of those killed in the drug war. I think that ultimately we will see how far this goes, but it's important now that the chamber has clearly stated that the kind of arguments that the Philippines government was putting forward, frankly, are not enough. That, you know, the claims that somehow the national justice system was seriously investigating crimes is simply not true. And ultimately, we see the International Criminal Court as being the key mechanism going forward to ensure justice for those killed in the drug war.
But you heard earlier the statement of the Justice Secretary, Phil. He is defiant, saying the Philippine government won't cooperate with the ICC investigation. So what's going to happen next here?
Well, maybe the Justice Secretary won't cooperate, but plenty of other Filipinos are. And ultimately, we have had the victims' families submit petitions as well, supporting the ongoing efforts by the International Criminal Court. There are many in the world who view the International Criminal Court as being an impartial court of justice. The fact that the Justice Secretary is unhappy and saying that he's not going to cooperate doesn't mean that there won't be an investigation going forward. We have seen many times that the International Criminal Court is not permitted into areas where they are conducting investigations, but those investigations are capable of going forward nonetheless. This whole idea that somehow that investigators are not allowed into the country means that an investigation can't go forward is simply false.
Because he also said that he won't let them into the country. If they do enter the country, they will be a hostile force. So are you saying then if they won't be allowed to enter the country, then the investigation could be conducted via Zoom?
Well, I think the investigation can be conducted in a number of different ways. The court has the capacity to get information from people through various means. Let's be very clear that the International Criminal Court and also the Human Rights Council of the UN have shown repeatedly that they are able to conduct investigations without being allowed to enter a country. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Justice Secretary is being so recalcitrant that he is not going to extend cooperation, because he should extend cooperation. And it's quite clear that the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court still applies to the Philippines, because the Philippines was a member of the International Criminal Court during the time that these crimes were committed. So, you know, the idea that somehow by not allowing investigators into the country or saying that somehow we've left the Rome Statute now, those things are not going to get President Duterte and other people who committed crimes during the drug war off the hook.
But is it also possible that the ICC could bring some of these witnesses overseas to The Hague?
You know, I mean, the International Criminal Court will conduct the investigation the way it deems most appropriate. You know, we're not going to necessarily prejudge how they do that. And we're not going to prejudge the outcome. It could be that they go forward with this investigation and they find there's no case. I mean, ultimately, it is the International Criminal Court as an impartial world judicial body that is going to make the determinations here. But what is very, very important is that they have decided that the objections of the Philippines and the claims that the Philippines was going to be able to investigate itself are simply not factual. And the reality that we've been caught in the last year and a half in a Philippines government deliberate delay game to try to slow down the efforts of the International Criminal Court. And now the train is moving again.
Why not just basically leave these cases to the Philippine justice system? Phil, I mean, you heard the Justice Secretary. We have a working justice system. Why not just leave it to them? Leave the investigation to the country's Justice Department to handle all of these cases.
Let's let's ask the average Filipino on the street whether they think the justice system works in the Philippines.
But you heard, you also heard the Senate. You also heard the senator.
Given the backlog, given the failure to prosecute, given the fact that you have, literally tens of thousands of people in detention waiting for trials that never seem to move forward, it shows that this is a judicial system in crisis. And the reality is that there has not been the political will either by the Duterte administration and or the Marcos administration to seriously pursue criminal cases against police officers and other security officials who committed rights abuses in the course of the drug war.
And you heard the Senator Bato de la Rosa, who used to be the PNP chief during the time of Duterte's drug war, saying that it's the people are not even up in arms regarding these cases. And it is he's blaming the left for causing the ICC to resume this investigation.
Well, the senator, I think, is probably at serious risk of prosecution by the International Criminal Court. So I think he's going to make up whatever he can to try to push that off, to try to say that, this is a political show. The reality is the only political show that's going on here is the sort of excuse making that the Justice Secretary and others who are trying to defend the indefensible, to defend the fact that, tens of thousands of people were shot dead in the Philippines in the course of 6 years that President Rodrigo Duterte was in power. It's simply shocking and unacceptable that there's no real understanding from these officials about what the International Criminal Court is and what it's not. And unfortunately, I think this is a willful obfuscation by these officials to try to delude the Filipino public that somehow this is something it's not. It's not a political court. It's not left versus right. It is international crimes against humanity, which appear to have been committed by the Philippines administration under Rodrigo Duterte, and the fact that they are going to be investigated for that.
Human Rights
Watch. What will happen in terms of that investigation and what the outcome of that investigation is, we're not going to prejudge that, and no one should prejudge that.
Phil,
ultimately,
Phil, I'm sorry.
There's going to be some accounting.
Phil, thank you so much for your insight. Sorry, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us at the final word. Human Rights Watch Deputy Asia Director Phil Robertson joining us from Bangkok, Thailand.